Introduction. Rise up. I am not throwing away my shot. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Hamilton. Alexa, who was Alexander Hamilton? Alexander Hamilton was an American statesman and one of the founding fathers of the United States. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Who was Alexander Hamilton? A bastard, orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman, dropped in the middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean by Providence, impoverished, in squalor. Siri, who was Alexander Hamilton? Alexander Hamilton was an American statesman and one of the founding fathers of the United States. Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was Alexander Hamilton? The $10 founding father without a father. Got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter. Young, scrappy, and hungry. Siri and Alexa are digital personal assistants that live in the cloud. Lin-Manuel Miranda is a human composer who lives in our hearts. Powered by artificial intelligence, Siri and Alexa do their jobs remarkably well. They retrieve the same answer to the question in the blink of an eye. By turning breath into bytes, encoding speech into digital packets, identifying keywords, and matching those words against a vast amount of retrievable data, these digital assistants came up with an answer that had the highest probability of being accurate. And they both agreed on it. Alexa, Siri, and their more cognitive cousin, IBM's Watson, respond to queries much faster than any human ever will. But Miranda's job is different. His job is to make you feel. Miranda combines words and ideas in a way no human has ever done and no computer can ever match. For example, on vacation in Mexico, Miranda visited a bookstore and randomly chose Ron Chernow's biography of the American Revolutionary War hero Alexander Hamilton. Miranda was thunderstruck. He imagined a direct line between Hamilton writing his way off the island of Croix and the pioneers of rap music writing their way out of poverty. Miranda chose to write his famous musical Hamilton as hip-hop because it's the language of ambition, defiance, and rebellion. It has the most words per measure of any musical genre, which makes it uniquely suited to reflect the density of Hamilton's writing. America's founding fathers were white men, but Miranda deliberately cast black and Latino actors to play them. Hamilton is the story of America then told by people who live in America now. Each character raps or sings in a distinct vocal style that reflects their personality. George Washington's style is deliberate and controlled, a combination of the hip-hop artist Common and the singer-songwriter John Legend. Hamilton is modeled after Miranda's favorite polysyllabic rhyming heroes, Rakim and Eminem. The character of Lafayette is unsure of himself early in the musical. When we first meet Lafayette, he raps in a simple, early 1980s rap cadence. As he grows in confidence, the character of Lafayette becomes a rap god, singing rhymes in double and triple time. The character of King George III does not rap. Why would he? He's not rebelling. King George walks on stage as though he's wandered in from another musical. He sings his ballad You'll Be Back in a throwback British pop sound. Alexander Hamilton wrote in long paragraphs. Miranda wrote the first verse of Hamilton as a crazy, run-on sentence of 37 words. Miranda spent more than 1 year writing Hamilton's signature song, My Shot. Miranda says it's the Rosetta Stone of Hamilton's brain, and, to prove that Hamilton was the most fearsome intellect in the room, Miranda felt that every couplet, every verse, had to live up to Hamilton's verbal dexterity. Hamilton is a leap of imagination, a somersault into the world of creativity. Miranda has a gift. He makes us feel differently about ourselves and the world we live in. In this book, I'll build the case that we all have that gift, the potential to move people, excite them, and ignite their imagination. You will also learn why the world's most successful people say that accessing the gift is the key to thriving in an ultra-competitive global economy in which rapid technological advances are disrupting every industry, business, and career. The scholars, neuroscientists, economists, historians, entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders who you will meet all agree mastering the ancient art of persuasion, combining words and ideas to move people to action, is no longer a soft skill. It is the fundamental skill to get from good to great in the age of ideas. Master the ancient art of persuasion to thrive in the modern world. This book evolved from conversations with people who are stars in their field, and who credit superior communication skills for much of their success. They lead companies like Google, Airbnb, and McKinsey. They are investors who have funded the world's most admired startups. They are astronauts who look down at the Earth from 250 miles in space, and they are scientists on Earth who look up at the stars to explore worlds outside of our solar system. They are recent college graduates thriving in their first jobs, mid-level career professionals getting promoted above their peers, and people leaving their jobs to start successful businesses or nonprofit adventures. They are Navy SEALs and CEOs, scholars, writers, adventurers, explorers, and trailblazers. They stand out. They are exceptional. While writing this book, I was invited to join a team of elite U.S. military officers attending a secretive class in a remote Air Force base in the desert. Carefully selected from the top 1% of the Air Force, Army, and Navy, the students were being trained to help the country avoid massive conflicts. 2 of my previous books were among the assigned course material, Talk Like Ted and The Storyteller's Secret. These men and women will be asked to analyze, write, and present their findings to political leaders, generals, admirals, and the president, an instructor told me. In many cases, they'll get 10 minutes or less. They're often the smartest people in the room, but if they can't make a persuasive argument quickly and concisely, it could have catastrophic consequences. It's worth repeating, the ancient art of persuasion is not a soft skill. It's fundamental. Why ancient? In the last 20 years, the advent of functional magnetic resonance imaging has given researchers the ability to see brain activity in real time. Scientists studying blood flow in the brain have now discovered the secrets to effective communication, the exact reasons why certain words, speakers, and styles make an emotional connection with the rest of us. According to scientists, while the tools we use to communicate have evolved, the way our brains are wired to consume information has not. Become a great communicator by mastering the art and science of persuasion, and you'll thrive in the modern world. At no time in history have interpersonal communication skills been as important as they are today. In the agrarian age, a farmer who plowed the field a little better than their neighbor could not acquire significantly more wealth. In the industrial age, a factory worker who assembled widgets a little faster than the person next to them could not acquire significantly more wealth. Today, anyone, anywhere in the world, who is a little better at expressing their ideas can see a sudden, massive increase in wealth that is unprecedented in human history. In the 21st century knowledge economy, you are only as valuable as your ideas. The ability to convince others that your ideas matter is the single greatest skill that will give you a competitive edge at a time when the combined forces of globalization, automation, and artificial intelligence trigger a wave of anxiety across every profession in every country. In the next decade, your ideas, and the ability to articulate those ideas successfully, will count more than ever. Persuaders are irreplaceable. Persuaders are irreplaceable for business professionals today. Average performance only guarantees below average results. In the past, workers with average skills, doing an average job, could earn an average lifestyle. But today, average is officially over, writes New York Times columnist and best-selling globalization expert Thomas Friedman. Everyone needs to find their unique value contribution that makes them stand out in whatever is their field of employment. The phrase average is over is more than a catchphrase, says economist Tyler Cohen. He argues that the irreversible forces of intelligent machines and economic globalization should lead you to ask the following key question. Are you good at working with intelligent machines or not? Are your skills a complement to the skills of the computer, or is the computer doing better without you? Worst of all, are you competing against the computer? 3. According to Cohen, if you and your skills are a complement to the computer, your wage and labor market prospects are likely to be cheery. If your skills do not complement the computer, you may want to address that mismatch. Consider this book the solution to the mismatch. The very nature of work is changing, and so are the skills required to stand out, get ahead, and achieve greatness in one of the most transformative moments in history. If you can persuade, inspire, and ignite the imagination of others, you will be unstoppable, irresistible, and irreplaceable. Anthony Goldblum is a world-renowned expert in using big data to tackle big tasks. His company, Kaggle, uses predictive modeling to solve complex problems for NASA, automakers, insurance companies, and drug and medical device manufacturers, among others. No problem is too big for Kaggle's team of scientists to resist tackling. Goldblum, named by MIT as one of the top 35 innovators in the world, believes that machine learning is the most powerful branch of AI and will be responsible for much of the disruption we can expect to see in the workplace. Machine learning is the technology that allows machines to learn from data and, in some cases, mimic things humans can do. Kaggle operates on the cutting edge of machine learning, which gives Goldblum a unique perspective on what machines can do and what they can't. By construction, machines are very good at learning things that have been done before and repeating them again and again and again, Goldblum told me. But in order to touch somebody emotionally, you have to surprise people. Machines have made very little progress in tackling novel situations. They can't handle things they haven't seen many times before. One project undertaken by the Kaggle community of data scientists demonstrated the promise and limitation of machine learning. In a competition co-sponsored by the Hewlett Foundation, scientists were invited to create software that could grade a student-written essay as well as or better than a human evaluator. It's an important area of software development. The Hewlett Foundation is a philanthropy dedicated to providing America's public school students with the skills they need to excel in the 21st century. Chief among those skills are critical thinking and effective communication. One way to improve the quality of instruction in those areas is to move from multiple-choice tests to essays, which require higher-level thinking and writing skills. However, grading essays by hand is expensive and time-consuming. That's why Hewlett challenged the Kaggle community to take their best shot at automating the task of scoring essays. The results of the Kaggle Hewlett Challenge were promising. The winning software evaluated 22,000 hand-scored essays. By analyzing sentence structure, spelling, and punctuation, the software did a reasonably good job of replicating scores given by human graders, especially for the average essay. But according to Goldblum, the algorithm came up short in one crucial area. It failed to recognize essays that were above average, unusual, novel, and groundbreaking. In fact, creative essays received lower grades than they actually deserved. Machines learn from crunching large amounts of existing data, while we humans use our imaginations to propose and communicate novel ideas that, by definition, have never been seen before. We can connect seemingly disparate threads to solve problems, says Goldblum. 6. This puts a fundamental limit on the human tasks that machines will automate. If a computer can recognize average, it can replicate average. Average simply isn't good enough to stand out in the digital age. In another essay experiment, this time in Japan, mathematician Noriko Arai sparked a wave of anxiety when she built an AI system that outperformed 80% of high school students in a competitive college entrance exam. The Tadai robot scored in the top 1% in the math and science section of the exam and could write a 600-word essay better than most students. Despite these results, Arai is convinced that humans can thrive in an AI-saturated world if they reconsider the types of skills they must master. In Arai's experiment, she discovered that AI did better than 80% of students because it could retrieve facts more quickly and accurately, which is what most students are taught to do: memorize facts and repeat them. But Tadai failed to beat the 20% of students who stood out because they could think creatively and extrapolate meaning beyond the bounds of a question. 7. In other words, AI doesn't read or think as humans do. The Tadai robot recognizes keywords and combines text and facts retrieved from existing information to provide an answer to a question. According to Arai, if knowledge means memorizing and retrieving facts, then AI can do what humans do, only better. She says the skills that give humans an edge are those that no robot or machine can currently replace: critical thinking, creativity, and communication. Machines are fast, humans are creative. Machines glean insights from data, humans shed light on what the data means. Machines teach us about the past, humans build the future. Machines make us more productive, humans improve the world in imaginative, unexpected ways. Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't win a MacArthur Foundation Genius Award for writing a song faster than a computer. He won for igniting and inspiring the human spirit. A tectonic shift is here. Emotional connection is, indeed, the winning ticket in a world where technologies such as automation, big data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are eliminating millions of jobs and disrupting entire industries, businesses, and careers. People around the world are understandably anxious about the pace of change and what it could mean for the future of work. The good news is that fears of a robot apocalypse might be overblown, at least according to the evidence we have from the last 500 years. Every technological shift has destroyed jobs, but also created more new jobs than were previously available. Economists studying the history of innovation as far back as the 1,500 seconds in Europe have found that, in those cases where new products and services sparked the highest anxiety, new job growth was also higher than expected. In the 1970s, automated teller machines were widely expected to reduce the number of bank branches and human tellers. Today, banks employ more tellers than they did in 1980, but their roles have changed. Relationship management has replaced simple transactions. The disruption that technology triggers is very real and very scary for many. But in every economic shift, and especially in the digital revolution, communication skills become more valuable, and not less. The exponential growth in technology has made our lives immeasurably better. By almost any metric, today is the greatest time to be alive, ever. But unprecedented progress has also triggered what consulting firm Towers Watson calls a tectonic shift in global business, a shift that demands new skills from the 21st century workforce. In a detailed analysis of more than 700 occupations, Oxford researchers concluded that automation will eliminate 47% of jobs that humans do today. 8. Let me say that again for emphasis. Nearly half of all jobs performed by humans are on the road to elimination in the next decade. This is the extension of a process that started with blue-collar workers, men and women who use their hands, whose jobs are now done by machines. In the near future, automation may replace 140 million full-time knowledge workers around the world, whose work can be done more quickly and efficiently by smarter cognitive systems. The research suggests the risk will be the same across countries, regions, and nearly every field, from transportation to technology, from healthcare to retail, and from law to finance. I think people are going to be surprised at how fast machine learning is going to displace routine jobs, says Neil Jacobstein, chair of the Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Department at the Silicon Valley think tank Singularity University. 9. We're talking about a transition that's going to occur over the next 10 to 15 years that is really significant. While it's difficult to predict exactly which jobs will be automated out of existence and over what time frame, we can predict which roles humans will want filled by other humans. People who know how to talk, and talk well, will be rewarded, and those with the ability to inspire people, to ignite another person's imagination, will be especially well positioned. Machines can learn to read human emotion, but they don't have human emotions. It's a very important distinction, says Jacobstein. 10. The hard data show that soft skills are in high demand. In one study of 400 human resource and recruiting professionals, 94% said an employee with stronger communication skills has a better chance at being promoted to a leadership position than an employee with more years of experience, but weaker verbal skills. Company leaders across the board say it's difficult to find applicants who can communicate clearly and precisely, inspiring and engaging co-workers and customers. These traits can make the difference between a standout employee and one who just gets by. According to the Wall Street Journal 11, while such skills have always appealed to employers, decades-long shifts in the economy have made them especially crucial now. Companies have automated or outsourced many routine tasks, and the jobs that remain often require workers to take on broader responsibilities that demand critical thinking, empathy, or other abilities that computers can't easily simulate. It's really the more fundamental skills like communication that seem to matter the most. 12. A study by Burning Glass, a software company that matches people with jobs, revealed that employers face a real skills gap. The research combed through millions of job postings on social media. It found that in the most technical careers, writing and communication skills were highly valued, far more than you'd expect based on standard job profiles. However, the same survey found that people with such skills, which they called the human factor, were notoriously hard to find. 13. Survey after survey, study after study, arrive at similar conclusions. And yet, according to a Hay Group study, poor communication skills hinder millennials in the workplace. The Hay study of 450 human resources directors in the U.S., India, and China concluded that 80% of HR professionals are having trouble finding graduate and entry-level employees who have technical proficiency and communication skills. Social and emotional competencies are vital to future business success, but can be lacking in today's graduates. 14. In addition, 92% of HR directors believe emotional and social skills are increasingly important as globalization accelerates and organizational structures change, which leads them to conclude that entry-level graduates with communication skills are worth their weight in gold. The vast majority of those surveyed say graduates who do not develop emotional and social skills quickly will never be high performers, especially those in more complex roles. The communication skills gap is real, but so is your ability to bridge the gap. If you have the ability to communicate ideas that grab people's attention, then you won't be replaced anytime soon, says data expert Anthony Goldblum. 15. The unusual person will jump out, says billionaire Warren Buffett. 16. And it's not because they have an IQ of 200 or anything like that. You will jump out, much more than you can anticipate, if you get really comfortable with public speaking. It's an asset that will last you 50 or 60 years, and it's a liability if you don't like doing it. Early in his career, Buffett himself was so terrified of speaking in public, he signed up for a public speaking course. He dropped out of the course on his first try because he was too afraid to speak up. Buffett worked up his courage a second time and completed the course. Today in Buffett's office, he doesn't have a framed diploma of his college or business degrees, but he proudly displays his public speaking certificate. Speaking to a class of business students at Columbia University, Buffett said, "Right now I would pay $100,000 for 10% of the future earnings of any of you, so if you're interested, see me after class." Now, you can improve your value by 50% just by learning communication skills, public speaking. If that's the case, see me after class and I'll pay you $150,000.17. Buffett was reinforcing the point that mastering the art of public speaking is the single greatest skill a person can acquire today to boost their career in the future. Entrepreneurs and small business owners, CEOs, and managers are only as valuable as their ideas. As automation replaces much of the work we used to do by hand, your ideas matter more than ever. If you cannot persuade others to back those ideas, and if you cannot excite others, motivate, and inspire them, then you'll never fulfill your destiny. Bridge the skills gap and you'll shine in the marketplace of ideas. The good news is that standing out through persuasion requires developing empathy with your listeners, a skill that artificial intelligence cannot replace. Machines don't have a heart, storytellers do. 5 stars is for those who believe their ideas matter. Throughout the book I use the term 5 stars to describe the unique leaders, entrepreneurs, business professionals, and brands who stand out, who occupy their own universe. In some cases, they are the leaders who run companies that achieve 5-star reviews, literally. You will meet CEOs, leaders, and entrepreneurs behind 5-star brands in hospitality, healthcare, and many other industries. I also use 5 stars as a metaphor. For example, you'll learn how business professionals who occupy the top jobs in their fields were average or good communicators and transformed themselves into great ones. Their ability to get buy-in for their ideas is a skill that sets them apart. You'll meet sales stars who were once in the middle of the pack and catapulted themselves to the top of their profession. You'll meet employees who get promoted above their peers, again and again. You'll meet managers who rise to the top 1% in ultra-competitive fields. You'll meet CEOs who have completely reimagined and reinvented entire business categories. You'll meet entrepreneurs whose companies are among the 0.5% of startups that receive venture capital funding. You'll also meet TED speakers, scientists, experts, and billionaires who credit their communication skills for catapulting their careers. Best of all, you'll learn the specific techniques they use to sell their ideas. 5 stars is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, Why Great Communicators Are Irreplaceable. In the 4 chapters in Part 1, we'll explore how ideas built the modern world. You will hear from top scientists, economists, historians, and business leaders who believe that, in the age of ideas, your ability to communicate persuasively is the single greatest skill that will set you apart in the next decade. We'll also begin our discussion of the ancient brain. More than 2,300 years ago, the Greek philosopher Aristotle argued that human beings are language animals and that rhetoric, persuasion, is an art and a science. Remarkably, most of the research conducted today in the science of persuasion and the brain reinforces Aristotle's original thesis. In Part 1, you will learn why Aristotle's communication method remains as effective today as it was thousands of years ago. Part 2, who's earned 5 stars. The 5 chapters in Part 2 are divided into categories. Each category features individuals who are 5-star communicators. These standouts include scientists, entrepreneurs, professionals, leaders, and TED stars, all of whom have inspired audiences through dynamic communication. They're all people and brands whose stories you'll want to hear. Along the way, you'll begin to recognize people from within your company or community who achieve 5-star performance. They are the ones who command respect, inspire teamwork, and attract attention for their ideas and projects. They are the ones who create a virtuous cycle of successful results. They persuade people to support their ideas, which helps them launch creative innovations that further the goals of the organization, as well as attract resources, funding, and support, which elevates their status and reputation. And the cycle repeats itself again and again and again. Part 3, How to Get from Good to Great. In Part 3, you will learn specific, actionable methods to build the one skill that makes us uniquely human, the one skill that will propel you farther and faster in your career or chosen field. Most people who read this book likely have average or above average communication skills. But today, average isn't good enough, and neither are skills that are a little better than average. Most people are perfectly happy living an average life. Average is comfortable and complacent. But Part 3 is for the movers and doers, the explorers and adventurers. It's for those who want to propel their careers and the world forward. They're not content to watch. They want to lead. If earning 5 stars is your goal, this section will help you to achieve it. Remember, in the 21st century knowledge economy, no machine, no software, no robot can replicate your ideas. But if you cannot sell your ideas persuasively, it doesn't matter. As Wharton psychology professor Adam Grant argues, originality requires championing a set of novel ideas that go against the grain. Originals run up against a common hurdle, the human bias to remain in the status quo. When you're pitching a novel idea or speaking up with a suggestion for change, your audience is likely to be skeptical. 18 If you cannot persuade people to buy into your vision, it will have damaging consequences for your career, your company, your industry, or the world, which may never stand to benefit from your idea. Developing original ideas and communicating those ideas effectively is the single greatest skill you can build today to own your future. In a world of uncertainty, it's important to not lose sight of who we are. More than 3,000 years ago, Polynesian adventurers left their island home in outrigger canoes to cross thousands of miles of ocean. They populated modern-day Fiji, Hawaii, New Zealand, and hundreds of islands in the South Pacific. Remarkably, they did so with no maps, compasses, or GPS. They used the stars to chart their positions. The key to wayfinding is to remember where you started. To know where you're from is to know where you're going. Why did these people risk their lives to venture thousands of miles from home? A 5-hour plane trip today would have required 30 days at sea in a small canoe. Surely these travelers had to have a compelling reason. Famine, war, overpopulation. Historians believe the strongest motivator may have been the spirit of adventure. We are natural explorers. The desire to discover something new is in our DNA. It will never leave us. In a sense, we're all navigators, finding our way in a new world that is changing more rapidly than at any time in human history. Technological innovations are improving every aspect of our lives and disrupting entire fields, too. But if you can keep one eye on the stars and the other on where you're from, the qualities that make you uniquely human, it's likely that you'll embark on an epic adventure and take the rest of us along for the ride. 5 stars is for those who believe that their ideas matter. It's for men and women, students and entrepreneurs, teachers, managers, and leaders who want to gain a competitive edge in the age of ideas. No computer will replace you and no competitor will outsell you. Mastering the ancient art of persuasion will make you irreplaceable and irresistible. It will make you more likely to land the job of your dreams, build a career, start a company, evangelize an idea, rally a team, and pitch an innovative solution to a stubborn problem. You will stir people's souls. You will thrive, grow, and boldly lead others into the future. You will rise up into the fullness of your potential and achieve greatness.